Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com. It is November 15th, 2021, and we're going to talk today about dumping barium, strontium, cesium, trimethyl aluminum, and other chemicals from cannons, sounding rockets, satellites. This is that chemtrails from space video you've been waiting for. We're going to tie a bow on this by showing how upper atmospheric chemical releases are used in combination with ionospheric heaters like HARP, like the one in Puerto Rico, ionospheric heaters around the world. So yeah, please gently smush that like button if you already haven't. Thank you, Bold. And if you're watching this somewhere else, hit that subscribe button. Come over to YouTube, gently grip the nostrils and hit that bell while you're here. And if you can, it's Christmas time. The kids, my two daughters, would greatly appreciate any donations to PayPal. Right now, everything I'm doing is free of charge and open source, and you can mirror this video, do whatever you like to with it anywhere. So, what are we talking about here with this HARP thing? If you're not familiar, you can go over to climateviewer.org/3D, which is ClimateViewer 3D. And on the screen right now, I have what's called the Super Dual Auroral Radar Network, which are these yellow icons right here. And you can see them. That's super darn. We have other EISCAT installations. They're in the dark, deep blue. Digisigns, which are radio signs. They're ways of monitoring the ionosphere. And, of course, the big daddies like HARP up here in Alaska, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, and the one in Arecibo. As you can see here, we'll zoom out just a bit, and you can actually see the ionospheric heater poles, which are in this photo right here. Let me open this image up so you guys can see it. And this is what they look like. And if you're wondering for scale, those are people right there. These some big freaking antennas. But regardless, let's go back real quick, and you can see that this is the one from the 007 movie, if you've ever seen it. The big dome, 305-meter dome in Arecibo, Puerto Rico. And this is the Arecibo Observatory Enhanced High-Frequency Ionospheric Heating Instrument. What do these have to do with sounding rockets and chemical dispersions in space? Let's get right into it. So I'm going to go over here to ionospheric heaters, space weather control, and geophysical warfare, a pretty lengthy PowerPoint presentation that I did, and we're going to just go straight to the section that is on this. So this is about space weather control, and I labeled this space weather modification on weathermodificationhistory.com because it just generally encompasses all the things that are going on here, whether it be HARP, sounding rockets, cannons, satellites dumping chemicals in space. We have weather modification on the ground in our troposphere where we live, and then we have space weather modification. So what is space weather? Scientific experiments to control conditions in the region of space close to the Earth, especially the presence of electromagnetic radiation and charged particles emitted by the sun that can affect human activity and technology. So, as Lyndon Johnson put it, control of space means control of the world. From space, the masters of infinity would have the power to control the Earth's weather, to cause drought and flood, to change the tides and raise the levels of the sea, like they say global warming is doing, to divert the Gulf Stream and change temperate climates to frigid. That would be like global cooling. So all of this is man-made climate chaos brought to you by space weather modification, control of space. We're not going to go to that, but you could actually go and see the actual video of him saying things like this. Space weather control, really started out with a whole lot of nuclear explosions in space. I could show you those on climateviewer.org as well. Why don't we do that, actually? We'll do that in just a second. So there were 4 major ones that really caught the world's attention: Operation Argus, Operation Hardtack, Starfish Prime, and Operation K. These happened 1958 through 1962. And as you can see that we have the outer Van Allen belt radiation belts. We have the inner Van Allen belts. And then we have this new belt right here, which was called artificial radiation belt. And these artificial radiation belts were created by all of the nuclear explosions that were done in the upper atmosphere. Following that, the U.S. military, who absolutely hates the ionosphere, decided they were going to replace it with metal needles. And this was called Project Westford, or the Westford Needles, where they dumped 480 million copper dipole antennas into the upper atmosphere. Yeah! Super Dave, much love, my friend. Love you too, brother. I appreciate it. They dumped 480 million copper dipole antennas into space to create an artificial ionosphere because they just generally don't like the unpredictability of the ionosphere. So why not replace it with a man-made metal one? This was considered to be one of the most stupid experiments in all of scientific history. Many of these are still up there, and they are still a problem. Plasma seeding. Similar to cloud seeding, plasma seeding is done in the upper atmosphere. Hey, Gary, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. So plasma seeding is the same idea as cloud seeding, but it's cloud seeding in space. It's plasma seeding to create plasma clouds. So as you can see in the image here, it says cloud of plasma released by satellite. And they do that by dumping chemicals like barium, strontium, cesium-137 radioactive materials, usually metals, and they ionize in the sun's rays, and then they study those with ground-based radars and ionospheric heaters. And it also causes precipitating electrons. So just like weather modification seeks to create cloud seeding to make rain fall on the ground, plasma seeding seeks to create rainfall in the form of precipitating energetic particles. So instead of making it rain, they make artificial aurora. As you can see here, plasma seeding with cloud sounding rockets and satellites. Over here on the left-hand side, we have a luminous vapor trail of trimethyl aluminum. And then here we have a daytime lithium trail. And here we have all three. We have a barium trail. And then we have, this is the trimethyl aluminum and strontium. All in one shot. And then over here we have the charged aerosol release experiment, which is a newer thing. Happened more recently. This is 1995. And you can see the same thing over here. You got your barium cloud, you got your trimethyl aluminum cloud. And you have to be asking yourself the obvious question at this point. And you can see all this came from the NASA website on sounding rockets, tracers, clouds, and trails, and they show them right here. But let's go back here. And I think that's it for that. And then, of course, the chemical releases from the Arecibo Enhanced High Frequency Ionospheric Heating Instrument. Before it was destroyed in a hurricane, there was an older version of an ionospheric heater here. The new Enhanced High Frequency Ionospheric Heating Instrument was the replacement for that. But regardless, you can see right here, 1990 through 93, multiple instrument studies of chemical releases and heating at Arecibo. And this was done with the CRES Combined Release and Radiation Effects Satellite. So they had a satellite that would dump chemicals into space, very similar to what we just saw in this photo right here. Satellite, cloud of plasma released by satellite. So that's the general overview of this and how it affects international treaties, that sort of thing. What do they look like? So this is a very recent and very rare video from Project Azure. And it's part of a much larger experiment series where it's called the Grand Cusp Initiative, where you're going to be launching thousands of sounding rockets all around the North Pole, what's called the Cusp region, to study, the upper atmospheric winds, solar radiation, and all of that sort of thing. So that's a big problem. Now, I tweeted to my friend Chris Fallon, who is the director of HAARP, and talk to him on the cell phone regularly now. And even Chris Fallon, director of HAARP, admits, with apologies to Paul Fox, who was a meteorologist from Fox News that I was harassing on Twitter, going, "You don't know what you're talking about, bruh." And then Chris got in the middle of it. Chris said, "Who's doing the best under his circumstances? Here are some pictures of trimethyl aluminum trails from sounding rockets launched from Poker Flat Research Range, north of UAF, the University of Alaska Fairbanks. In other words, legitimate chemtrail science." So if you're looking for legitimate chemtrails, this is the video for you. These are actual chemtrails with a purpose of studying the invisible. Ionosphere and the upper atmospheric winds are invisible. So they dump these chemicals up there as a tracer to make the invisible visible. It's very similar to if you go into the doctor and they put barium in your bloodstream in order to see it with CAT scans and things like that, because it helps, the radio frequency emissions, those sorts of things, they interact with these chemicals, they make the invisible visible. Similarly, I sound great at 1.25 speed. Hey man, I'm Southern. I'm like the tree ants in Lord of the Rings. Anything worth saying is worth taking a long time to say it. Bobby, crack me up. So what does it look like? It looks like this. And like I said, this is some rare video footage. And this was on April 5th. It says 2214 at the Andoya rocket range. And you can actually see the sounding rockets going off. We're going to skip to the end where they actually show this at 5 times speed playback, so you can see it. First, you see the barium, then the secondary releases of strontium right here, followed by the trails of aluminum, trimethyl aluminum down here at the bottom. And then you're going to see it again. First, we have the barium releases. Boom, boom. These are multiple different probes that, so you see 4 at a time dropping down. The barium at the top, strontium in the middle, followed by trimethyl aluminum at the bottom. And the trimethyl aluminum looks like little gray smoke clouds. Pretty interesting stuff. So what does that look like after it's spread out? This is the after effect. And as you can see, you know, after a while, the trimethyl aluminum, because the wind is faster down here, the lower you get in the atmosphere, it tends to spread out. The strontium is following the wind as well, and the barium pretty much is hung out in the same spot. So this allows a scientist to see, you know, exactly what the wind speeds are in the upper atmosphere, and all of that. Now, I'm not saying this is, you know, a good thing, a bad thing. I'm just stating the facts. My opinions on this are probably not a good idea. I don't like the idea. This seems amazingly stupid. I used to be much more hateful, I would say, of the whole idea of sounding rockets. But as you go and you start to look back on the history of this year, Jesus has been going on forever. How do people not know about it? So I got this tiny little image here, which kind of summarizes it all. It's a very rare image. You can't find this anywhere because high pass is the predecessor to HARP. And in the high pass facility, you can see here it says bistatic radar, VHF radar, LiDAR, which is a laser, phased array radar, which is high pass, which is now HARP. And the most important one right here is you see rocket and satellite. Now the rocket is firing directly through what is an artificial ionospheric mirror, or the ionized portion of the ionosphere between 200 to 400 kilometers, typically 300 kilometers in the air. And that's where they're actually trying to heat up and study, you know, for the majority of these bouncing radio wave experiments. So they fire a sounding rocket up, they heat it up with the microwave, the ionospheric heater, they study it with the LiDAR lasers and other VHF radars, as you can see over here, this big dish, and the bistatic radars, like super darn, because they're dual auroral radar networks, bi meaning two, dual meaning two. That's what we got going on here. So real quick, I'm going to bring up these other images to give you an idea. And, you know, this is about the height of what we're talking about. So right about 300 kilometers. This is a trimethyl aluminum cloud. There's your barium release cloud. And finally, your lithium release cloud. Now, some of you may recall the Wallops launches of lithium a couple years ago. People were real upset about it. They were like, oh my God, the NASA is firing lithium into the sky. Well, they were doing this because lithium, as opposed to the other two, is visible during the daylight. So that's the main reason you're going to see a lithium launch instead of barium, strontium, and trimethyl aluminum. Just saying, just explaining. This is the stuff I've learned over the last decade. I'm sharing with you. There, we done that. All right, so we're gonna go back to the share here, and the reason all this is a problem is because Harry Wexler tried to warn the world about this all the way back in 1962. And Wexler was concerned that inadvertent damage to the ozone layer might occur if increased rocket exhaust polluted the stratosphere. And he's inadvertent increased pollution from rocket exhaust to near space experiments could go awry. Unknown risks of Operation Argus, Project Westford, the Needles, and Project High Water, where they used an Atlas rocket to literally dump water into the ionosphere. Crazy stuff. Purposeful. 1934, Chapman proposed making a temporary hole in the ozone layer for the benefit of astronomers. My email address is jim@climateviewer.com, Maureen. jim@climateviewer.com. That is also my PayPal email for those who are curious. I'm kind of watching chat while trying to go through a lot very quickly because you know me, I gotta go tell the whole story and it takes a while to get there, but it's worth the wait, man. I promise. Love you, mean it. Let's get back into it. Climate control can best be classified as interesting hypothetical exercises until the consequences of tampering with large-scale atmospheric events can be assessed in advance. Most such schemes that have been advanced would require colossal engineering feats and contain the inherent risks of irremediable, boy, that's a great word, meaning unfixable, irremediable harm to our planet or side effect counterbalancing the possible short-term benefits. So what happened with Harry Wexler? Well, he, came up with this idea that rocket exhaust was bad and that it could destroy the ozone layer and lead to worldwide weather control. And before he could give his speech on this topic in 1962, he suffered a massive heart attack. Coincidence being 2 years later, the Rand Corporation put out a paper called Pollution of the Upper Atmosphere by Rockets. And in it, they basically say, this is by W. Kellogg from the Rand Corporation. Hey, more rockets would be a great idea. On the other hand, a few hundred small rockets per year, each containing 10 kilograms of chemical, would probably double the sodium content. Similarly, less than 2 such rockets per year would be expected to double the lithium content. These last conclusions have implications for future tracer experiments using these substances. So that's why Harry Wexler, scientists warn space age fuels may affect world's life by changing weather. And you can watch most of these videos on what used to be called my Chemtrails from Space playlist. It's still there. You can come check it out. Chemtrails from Space, sounding rockets, satellite chemical releases, and ionospheric heaters. And, I've been keeping this up for quite a while. There's a very lengthy one set of videos, 143 minutes, another an hour, and then another an hour on just this topic, Chemtrails from Space, Part 1 and Part 2, if you really want to dig in deeper to this. And some of the stuff from, the different, this is the NASA Wallops, lithium, NASA Jetstream studies, lights up night sky, NASA launch from Poker Flat and Poker Flat Research Range rocket launch, and observations of that from the HARP facility. You can see all those videos there. And this, came from a paper written by James Roger Fleming, who's one of my personal heroes. And it was called On the Possibilities of Climate Control in 1962. Harry Wexler on Geoengineering and Ozone Destruction. So if you want to read all about that, links are in the details. They're in the video, in the actual presentation themselves right here. So you can come down to the bottom, and here are the 2 links to that. And of course, he refers to what Harry Wexler's Rosetta Stone, and this is from the PowerPoint, linking Chapman-Wolf rocket fuel and ozone-destroying reactions triggered by chlorine and bromine catalysts. Why is this a problem? Because most people don't know this. I grew up watching the space shuttle launches. I'm 45 years old. I was born in 1976. I remember the Challenger explosion. I remember watching, the space shuttle go up many times. I was in the Air Force Junior ROTC, went down to Cape Canaveral twice, saw launches, saw the Atlas rockets in person. So this has always been a fascination of mine. But what I didn't know was this, that each time a space shuttle is launched, the solid rocket boosters release 240 tons of hydrochloric gas, 26 tons of chlorine gas, 7 tons of nitrogen dioxide gas, and wait for it, 304 tons of aluminum oxide into the atmosphere per launch. 304 times 2,000. Okay? We're talking 608,000 pounds of freaking aluminum oxide per launch. So riddle me this. For all the people out there who have been talking about chemtrails, who have been talking about airplanes, who've been talking about aluminum, this dwarfs every plane on the planet, and it's just one launch. This is the thing that hit me in the gut, and I hope that it hits you in the gut. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Do you think that rockets are a problem now? Are you concerned about punching holes in the ionosphere with these rocket launches, SpaceX, sounding rockets? All of these are affecting our climate in ways that are definitely not acknowledged by the climate changers and the IPCC and the COP26ers and Al Gore and company. They don't talk about the climate changers, the people who are really changing our climate. Harry Wexler knew it in 1962, warned us about it. His exact words, chlorine and bromide. What does this say? 26 tons of chlorine gas per launch of the space shuttle, and we're just talking about the space shuttle. Now you think, add up all the thousands of rocket launches that happen on a yearly basis, and we're talking about some serious poundage of aluminum oxide and other chemicals. Moving back along. So we're going to come over here to weathermodificationhistory.com, the world's most comprehensive weather control timeline. And I've already done the beautiful job of hitting the tags right here. I click tags, I click upper atmospheric chemical release, and we have just the, posts on this topic about, dumping chemicals in space. And I did mention cannons. We're going to get to that right now. We already showed this one, or no, we showed the other one. But this is from 1966, artificial strontium and barium clouds in the upper atmosphere. Just a thing. You might want to know about it. Here we have the original HARP. Did you know there was a HARP in 1965? That HARP was not an ionospheric heater. It was a freaking cannon. This was mind-blowing to me. And this was at the Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Maryland, U.S. Army Material Command, and they were firing anywhere from 5 to 7 to 16-inch rockets, projectiles, up to 470,000 feet. And it looked a little bit like this. So this is the actual HARP cannon, the High Altitude Research Program, not the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HARP. It's the High Altitude Research Program in 1965, and it was a cannon. And you can see here the Martlet 2C without Sabo. This is the actual rockets they were firing to fire chemicals into space. Here's a dude holding one of the 5-inch HARP rockets. Yes, HARP rockets. You cannot make this stuff up. If you haven't smashed gentle on the like button. I mean, YouTube already hates me enough. They've shadow banned everything I'm doing. Be gentle with the like button. HARP rockets. Glide paths for each of the different type, 5, 7, 16-inch guns. This is a hole in the ground from where one of the rockets landed, with the farmer-looking dude with the steel rake going, bruh, you want me to fill that in? Can you imagine how deep that hole is? I mean, this is a cannon that was fired into frickin' space that dumped a bunch of chemicals and then landed in this guy's backyard. I'd hate for that to land on my house. but many different articles also from different, publications. Operation HARP utilizing big guns for research. Earns U.S. Army Canadian goodwill for assistance. You can't make this stuff up. Look how big that damn cannon is. I mean, that's freaking huge. Project HARP leads to U.S.-Canada study of low orbit program. HARP records successful telemetry probes to 350,000 feet. Another shot of the 140-ton 16-inch guns in Barbados. HARP, 1965. HARP cannon. Project HARP probe exceeds 400,000 feet. That's a big damn gun. I find this stuff fascinating. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And those who don't know the past certainly are not going to understand what the hell is going on now. So I hope that this has been fascinating for you, because it sure as hell is fascinating for me. And even here you can see a nighttime trimethyl aluminum trail pictured after distortion from ionospheric winds over Barbados after 16-inch launch. Let's blow that up, because these are really big pictures. And you can see it right there. And you can actually see from Barbados all of the different radars that we're listening in. This is not a new thing by any sense of the imagination. Big freaking cannon, big freaking, here's somebody down here holding the rocket. She's like, look at me posing with a rocket. It's the space age. We're all going to Mars. But it's a really big cannon. Really, really big freaking cannon. They show high water on here. Interesting. Moving back. So yeah, that's the thing. Project HARP, an idea whose time has come. Kaboom. Big freaking chemical release in space. Freaking rockets, man. Cannon fired rockets. It still blows my mind. This is one of those things that after all this time, you think you've heard it all. And here's the original dtic.mil articles, so you can actually see where I got this stuff from. Actually needed to update these, so I just did in my Sublime text, because I went and I checked the links and they were wrong, so I had to go in here real quick and bring that up and update those. So they now look like this. This is the actual link. apps.dtic.mil STI PDFs. Because when I went and I checked this, I was like, they got two different links on these things. Sometimes it's really weird. But you can see that here. And it's a really big file, by the way, just so you know. But don't you waste my time, man. We're live, bro. Come on. And you can see that right here. HARP 5-inch and 16-inch guns at Yuma Proving Ground, Arizona. 1967 in this one. So you can't make this stuff up. It's definitely all there, and that's where I got the Canon photo from. All references always provided. Always Creative Commons, always open source, because open source is the only way to be honest about anything nowadays in the world of fake news and bullshit propaganda. Combined release and radiation effects satellite CRES and the Arecibo ionospheric heater. And you can see that here. And you can see all the different chemicals they dumped. Satellite experiments. Strontium, barium, calcium, barium, lithium, barium, more barium. And then, wouldn't you know, this is just a shot from right field. SF6. Anybody in chat know what SF6 is? Nobody? There's a delay. I should put it on ultra low latency so that we could have these conversations in real time. Sulfur hexafluoride, also known as the most dangerous greenhouse gas because it destroys the ozone layer. It is a banned chemical, used to be used as a refrigerant. Sulfur hexafluoride is banned worldwide as a result. They were shooting it into the freaking ionosphere. Surprise. But not a surprise anymore. Everything just gets weirder by the second. And, this is where I got that paper from, dtic.mil, multiple instrument studies, chemical releases, and heating at Arecibo. So back to where we started with the Project Azure thing. Like I said, this is part of a bigger trend, which you're going to see right now. Sounding rocket mission will trace auroral winds. This is today, still going on. Do I think there's a climate lockdown coming? Only if we allow it to happen. It's like 9/11 all over again. I mean, we had 9/11. Everybody allowed our rights to be stripped away because terrorism. COVID came along. Everybody allowed our rights to be stripped away because COVID. Climate change? Really? Are you freaking kidding me? Global warming. Lockdowns. No, I don't think climate lockdowns are coming. I think that they're going to make gas so damn expensive that you won't be able to go anywhere. Joe Biden is doing a fine job of that. Let's go, Brandon. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Anyway, Grand Challenge Initiative 2017 through 2020. And the idea was that they would have this Grand Challenge Initiative cusp, 9 missions, 12 rockets, Azure, the one that I showed earlier. Let's open this up and make it bigger. Azure, the Auroral Zone Upwelling Rocket Experiment, ICI-5, Investigation of Cusp Irregularities, the G Chaser. I love the names they come up with always crack me up, dude. G Chaser. It sounds like somebody who's on Pornhub or like a porn star, or, I'm not going to say it. You know what I'm saying. Twin rockets to investigate cusp electrodynamics, TRICE 2, Casper 2, cusp Alvin and plasma electrodynamics rocket. Alvin waves or shear Alvin waves are radio frequency waves injected by ionospheric heaters like HAARP, and they bounce from pole to pole. These are called hops. We'll probably do another video to update you guys on how ionospheric heating technology works. But for those who want to go ahead and dig in now, just go see my PowerPoint presentation. It's right here, ionospheric heaters, space weather control, and geophysical warfare. Or simply just go to my YouTube channel and go to the must-see TV playlist, where you can see all of my PowerPoint presentations, geoengineering, weather modification, and weaponizing nature, CBD, the chemtrail secret for weather warfare, geoengineering and ozone destruction, the climate changers and water wars, technocracy, geoengineering and replacing the water cycle, the ionospheric heaters, space weather control, and geophysical warfare, my EPA hearing on jet pollution and geoengineering, where I went up to Washington, D.C. and spoke on C-SPAN, and us trolling meteorologists on Facebook who were live and weren't expecting questions from weathermodificationhistory.com. If you want some classic lulls, watch those two. But my PowerPoint presentations are all right here. I put a lot of work into these. I'll probably make some more in the future. But check them out. They're all right there on my YouTube channel in the must-see TV playlist, along with a couple other surprises. If you actually go down towards the end, you'll see even more. Meet the climate changers, weather warfare and control of resources, 10 technologies to own the weather today, directed energy attacks, Havana syndrome, and targeted individuals, Graves' disease and thyroidectomy, my story about how they cut my throat, removed my thyroid because it was poisoned with all of the chemicals that I've mentioned in the last 2 videos, including this one. Symbolism and people bitching about my eyeball logo. weather modification, yellow pages, geoengineering programs worldwide. A great song on chemtrails and a song that was dedicated to ClimateViewer called The Lie We Live. And it's pretty freaking epic. It's also age restricted because YouTube. What can you say about that? So that's all we're going to have for today, folks. I hope that you found this interesting because I find the idea that what a lot of people, yeah, I totally just that single "Let's Go Brandon" probably got the algorithm went must block. I don't give a shit at this point because honestly, all of my videos are getting mirrored automatically to BitChute and to Odyssey. In fact, let's bring that up real quick. For those who, if my videos disappear and you're looking for them, just simply go over to here. And the link is in the details right now. It is my link tree, linktr.ee/ClimateViewer. And you can see my 3 websites, my Patreon, my PayPal, the Discord chat. If you guys haven't joined the chat, please do. My YouTube channel, my Odyssey channel, my BitChute channel, my video Rumble channel. I may add some more in the future. And of course, my Facebook and Twitter, my legacy bullshit social media. I've been meaning to get around to, actually creating, a Telegram and things like that. But I guess since some of you have stuck around to the end, only special things for people who stick around to the end. I had mentioned this and I got many requests for this and I'm working on it, but sneak peek, the official ClimateViewer merch shop is going to be coming soon. And people specifically asked for stickers, posters, a couple t-shirt designs, things like that. And you can see them here. I'm really digging this. Like, this is kind of cool. Tell me what you think. Got the weather modification history logo on the front. Got the full climate changers weather modification history on the back. Totally your decision. I think this will be, I'm going to buy it because I'm going to wear it. That way I can go, yeah, this is my website. But a lot of people ask for this. I'm still reworking the designs. I think I'm going to take this black background out because as you can see, there's actually like a black square here and I'm still working on this. I don't want to put it out there till I'm ready to put it completely out there. But just giving you guys a heads up, this is what I've been working on over the last couple days. And I even redesigned this, the ClimateViewer logo so that I have this, big one with the tracking the climate changers and the URL. Lots of new things coming. Big poster. The man-made versus nature, for those who haven't seen it. Love this poster. I will be getting this poster. All this is going to be coming soon. As soon as I have it completed and permanently set up, I will, I'll let you guys know. But yes, the merch store is almost here. My wife came in here and was like, what? No girl shirts? So I was like, okay, well, honey, when you get home today, we'll talk about it and you can help me decide what to put on the merch shop. But I am going to have that out in the near future. And it'll be probably as simple as going to shop.climateviewer.com and it'll redirect you over to the Teespring. But as far as I understand it, when I'm done with this, I will be able to just go into YouTube and then link the Teespring up and I will have a merch shelf directly on the videos that I'm watching. But yeah, I've been working my ass off on trying to get these designs together. And I don't think people really understand how much time it takes to put together an Adobe Illustrator, vector format, design, of these type of quality, but it's a lengthy process. I spent 3 or 4 hours working on just one design the other day. But yeah, all that's still in the works. And you'll get your updates as soon as they're available. So please, once more time, if you haven't already subscribed and hit the bell, please do. If you can support my work by signing up for a monthly donation, I am going to be canceling the $2 section of the Patreon. And it's going to be $5 or more, but I am going to include not only a 10% discount on merch as one of the tier rewards for Patreon, but one of the tiers, I think I'm going to do like a monthly giveaway of some merch. So that's going to be changes coming to the Patreon. Let's just put it that way. Any donations to PayPal right now are going to go directly to my children. They could use it. I could use it. It's been a rough year for everybody. And we're doing this all from home. I'm a one-man army. Website, YouTube, all that shit. So yeah, that's it, Phil. That's exactly, we put it on the back of t-shirts too. So that's exactly what my wife was saying. Just, why not just put the damn logo on there? And I was like, look, we'll talk about it when you get home. So we're gonna brainstorm all this, and work out some of that. But t-shirt design takes a while. Unless you got somebody doing it for you, like all these mainstream, big channels. I've done well over 50,000 t-shirt designs in my lifetime. I work for 7 different t-shirt design companies. So trust me, I cannot wait to make the one that says, climate change because polar bears and shit, things like that. The plane farts t-shirt where we've got literally like a plane. He's got his butt kind of sticking out and you see the fart and he's got a wing over his mouth. My daughter's going to draw a couple of these designs. So yeah, we're going to have some fun with it. I hope to come up with some interesting stuff, but boy, that really just went sideways. I didn't expect to even bring this up. But regardless, I got a lot going on. I'm working on all this, and the very next thing is going to be a complete workover of ClimateViewer.com, where all of the different the bumper sticker thing has kind of got me thrown for a loop, because that's what I was really looking for, was the rectangular old school bumper stickers, and I can't find them on spring.com. So what I might do is actually call them and ask them, because, I've got like 10 different bumper sticker ideas. And they didn't have them. They have die cut stickers and they have these square ass stickers. So I'm going to look into that. But yeah, I want to be able to say, things like, don't talk to me about climate change unless you know about the climate changers. weathermodificationhistory.com. So that somebody sitting in traffic's like, the hell, that kind of stuff. But all of that, coming to a merch shop near you soon enough. Gonna keep pushing on, but let me know in the comments. What do you think about the Sounding Rockets video? What do you think? What are your takeaways from this? That rockets punching holes in the ionosphere let in the super cooled, space, make a tunnel, a vortex for all of that cold to come down into the lower parts of our atmosphere, affect all kinds of different things in untold ways. The chemicals mix up in the upper atmosphere. They stay for years on end. They're slowly building up. Planes are farting in the upper atmosphere. Those chemicals are slowly building up. And all anybody wants to focus on is greenhouse gases. If you want to talk about climate change and climate chaos, you better know about weather modification, geoengineering, and space weather modification. Because they've been doing it for 100 years, and the next 100 years is only going to get crazier. With that being said, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. With information comes power. With power comes great responsibility. So please use this video, the websites, the links, all of it to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it.